The poll for the quorum is now closed. With 174 town meeting members present, we have a quorum, and I call the annual town meeting back into session. I want to remind all town meeting members, if you do have to leave before the end of the meeting tonight, do not forget to drop off your response card and lanyard in the little boxes that we have on both sides of the two main exits to the auditorium. So please, don't forget to drop this off on your way out. If you end up at home and you have it, call Town Hall tomorrow morning, because we're going to be recalibrating for tomorrow, which looks, based on how we've been doing, that we're going to be here. So let's make sure that we don't forget to drop these off so they can be recalibrated. Madam Chairman, Article 5 for the main motion. Article 5, main motion.
Moderator, I move Article 5 with the following change. Simpson's bulkhead was voted on in Article 4. The total for the Article 5 will be reduced by the $200,000, making the amount $900,142.
Okay, you've all heard the main motion. This is for non-capital projects. As recommended, removing Simpson's bulkhead, which we dealt with in the previous article. Okay, we're going to do like we did last time by sections. Any discussion on information technology? General government. Public safety. Highway. Water. Engineering. Parks. Mr. Bradley. You could stand so that microphone carriers can see you there. Thank you.
What, honey? I think it's good.
My question was on the 200,000, who's doing the work? Is the town themselves doing it, or is they hiring a professional to do that work?
Yep.
Mr. Moderator?
Yep. Peter.
The work will be done. It will be contracted out. The work will be contracted out.
Be bid it out to somebody?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Conley?
Hi, Annie Conley, Precinct 6. So these are the fields that were in the subsequent article, right? That we're not going to, it was recommended to postpone, indefinite
We did
postpone.
indefinite postponement
Okay.
on the blanket.
And so we're sure that it's going to be those specific fields that were addressed, correct? Sandwich Road, Trotting Park, and was there a third field?
Peter?
2 fields at Trotting Park.
Okay, thanks. And then, do we have a plan going forward for the maintenance of the fields? Because it seems, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but it seems like we could be doing a little bit better. And if we're going to spend the money, are we going to sort of have a long-term plan as to how to, if we have to reseed completely and redo one or a field or another field, are we going to have a maintenance plan in place that happens?
We do recognize that the level of maintenance at the athletic fields needs to improve, and there's a group of town staff that are meeting to develop a plan to review the budget, review the operation plan and the staffing, to come up with a plan so that we can have a higher level of maintenance on an ongoing basis. So yeah, your question is well placed, and we are endeavoring in that direction.
Ms. Welch?
So Kelly Welch, Precinct 2. So I have a related question to the ongoing issue. So if we look in the back of the book at the description of the athletic field restoration, it says $200,000 for this year. And then in fiscal year 18 and 19, there's additional large sums, which I'm thrilled to see, because anyone who read that field analysis knows that we need at least that much. But then in the large spreadsheet with the highlight, it doesn't reflect that. So I'm just concerned as to which numbers are actually correct. I would be I would be concerned at spending, $200,000 this year without a plan for having substantial spending to fix the remainder of the fields in the coming years. Sorry,
Petit?
page 24 and 25 is the highlighted page.
Ms. Petit?
Yes, it should be in the spreadsheet. It's not in the spreadsheet. That was my error. The plan is to continue to fund this moving forward healthy to refurbish the fields.
Okay, anything else under parks? Recreation? Beach? We have one funding source, certified free cash. Any further discussion on Article 5? Hearing none, the question will come on the main motion. All those, oh. Yep, Mr. Swain.
Very good, thanks. Charlie Swain, Precinct 1, under beaches. We have everything here, but the last storm, which everybody understands, and we need a lot of beach nourishment. So what fund does that come out of?
Ms. Petit?
We allocate beach nourishment in the operating budget in April.
This is a current storm I'm referring to. The storm we had last week, and it took apart all our beaches.
I can't answer that.
Anybody want to address the beach nourishment relative to the last storm? I mean, you're not seeking any funding at this town meeting, correct? Right. Yeah.
We would just confirm that any actions on that would be in the existing departmental budgets in the annual operating budget presently. So those would be acted upon with available funds as the need arises. And you gave a good case in point.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Want to add to that, or we're good? Okay. So the question will come on the main motion as recommended, removing the bulkhead project that we funded in the previous article. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The chair said the ayes have it, unanimous. Article 6. And this is a planning board article. Mr. Chairman, for the main motion.
I'm Jim Fox, Chairman of the Planning Board, and for Article 6, our recommendation is as printed.
Article 6 as printed. Ms. Tobey held this.
Linda Tobey, Precinct 4. I'm interested in this article. It seems like it is a spot zoning article, and I really feel that if that's what it is, that the zones that are put into place by committees should stand, and that we shouldn't be changing them in this form. I've been watching the buildings going up because I go by this property all the time, and it's some condominiums. And I understand that these condominiums would like to have some garages, and apparently the permits were not in place for them to be able to do this. So they're asking to get this changed to straight business instead of business and agriculture. And if you look at the map on page 84 that shows this corner, it's a very busy corner. It's Central Avenue where it meets with Route 28. It's busy all year. It's particularly busy in the summertime. It has businesses all around, and it's not a place where we need to have more business. So I would like people to think about it. And if you could look at that map, it'll give you a better idea of what we'd be dealing with. Thank you very much.
Okay, Mr. Chairman. Yep.
Sorry, I neglected to read their explanation. I should have done that first. Pardon me. This change will allow the property owner to utilize the entire lot for Business 3 zoning purposes, including accessory structures for the condominium project, currently under construction without any increase in any permitted density or development. We consider this, generally we're not in favor of split lots. It creates a lot of issues, and there's already a 20-foot buffer from any use that's allowed in a business use in a residential zone. So there's some good buffers there, and we thought this was a reasonable thing to bring forward to town meeting, let you folks decide.
Okay, any further discussion on Article 6? Hearing none, the question will come on the main motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. This requires a 2/3 vote, so we're going to use our polling devices. Article 6, as printed. We're going to prepare a poll for Article 6. So a yes vote will be 1A, a no vote will be 2B. And the polls will be open for a minute. We're ready? Okay, the polling device is open. 1A for yes, 2B for no. This is Article 6 as printed. Polls will stay open for 20 seconds. I almost voted. I got to vote on all the other ones. I don't get to vote on this one. And the polling is closed. Please display the results. $114 in favor, 92 opposed. The necessary 2/3 is not obtained, and the article doesn't pass. Article 7 is a planning board article. Mr. Chairman.
Article 7. We propose that the town vote to rezone from agricultural A to light industrial C certain parcels of land located off Blacksmith Shop Road, shown on the Falmouth Assessors Map 22, Section 22, Parcel 9, Lot 0, and Map 22, Section 2, Parcel 12, Lot 3, consistent with the plan of land of Falmouth, Barnstable, Registry of Deeds for Boreal Solar, drawn by Northeast Surveyors Consultants, dated June 28, 2017, one scale equals 180 feet, attached to herein and made part of this motion. As an explanation, this rezoning is for the purposes of constructing a large 6-megawatt ground-mounted solar array, as the use is only allowed in light industrial C. The Planning Board also is aware that other uses are allowed in the light industrial C zone, such as a contractor's yard or warehouses. However, given the nature of the site being at a lower elevation than all the land around it, and with the 75 to 100-foot buffers that were included on the site plan as shown by the nearby residents, that those uses can be protected. So the only thing I'd say is we passed this on because we created light industrial C in this board 3 or 4 years ago because there was a need for warehouses and contractors' yards and ground-mounted solar array. So that's what the whole reason for light industrial C is being created, and we thought this was an appropriate place to put it if you so think so in your wisdom. Thank you.
Okay, on this article we have a presentation available from the attorney who is not a resident, citizen, or taxpayer of the town of Falmouth, so we need a majority vote. All those in favor of allowing the gentleman to present signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it by the majority. Gentleman has the floor.
Thank you for your hospitality. My name is Edward Kirk. I'm an attorney, resident of your arch rival, the town of Barnstable, so I certainly appreciate your allowing me to take a little bit of your time. Just as a civic note, town of Barnstable has a town council now. They used to have town meeting and selectmen, as you do, and I have to say that your process is a lot more interesting and a lot more dynamic, and I hope you stick with it. I represent Christopher Lynch. Chris is the president of the Lawrence Lynch Corporation now. His father, Jerry Lynch, ran the operation for several decades. And one part of the operation is this property off Blacksmith Shop Road. It's 65 acres, and it was once owned by the Manise family as well. And if you're familiar with it, it's basically now an excavated pit. It's been used for the excavation of materials, sand, gravel, and the storage of sand and gravel, which has been used in the Lawrence Lynch business and other contractors who come and do business there. As a result, the grade of the bottom of the pit is some 45 or 40 feet below the neighboring properties. And so it's sort of in a place of transition. And it's zoned right now for agriculture, but it's never been used for agriculture. The whole history of the place really has been, in effect, a light industrial use by Moniz and by the Lawrence Lynch Corporation. So it's never been used as agriculture. And a company called Borrego, they do install solar systems. They operate nationwide, and they're very well regarded. And they've been engaged in a process of due diligence with this property now for several months. And they're very close to finalizing an agreement with Eversource. And what they do is they install these solar arrays. Whereas before there's been dust and noise and traffic and trucks and backup alarms. If this article is approved, Borrego will be able to install their solar array. No noise, no aroma, no dust, no trucks, probably more quiet than if it was truly agriculture. What they want to do is they would cover some 25 acres of this 65-acre parcel. It would have to be spread out because there's a large utility easement that runs right through the property. So a good deal of the 65 acres will have to be used, although the panels will only take up about 25 acres. It's a totally passive use. We had hearings before the planning board. The neighbors were somewhat concerned. They seemed to be in favor of solar. What their concern was, what if it's not solar? From everything that I can tell, this project will go, and it'll be in place for some 20 years with a potential for another 10-year extension. So I think the real future for this parcel, if you approve, will be a solar array. And there won't be warehousing, and there won't be contractors' yards. But it did come up during the course of that planning board process whether we would go along with a buffer. And so some 16 acres of buffer that surrounds the property will remain agricultural, so it can't be used for any other purpose, such as warehousing or contractors' yards. And if that ever did happen, they would be well below grade in any event. So we've made every effort to try to take the neighbors' concerns into consideration. The buffer extends anywhere from 100 to 125 feet. So we hope that that will be sufficient protection. So we think this is an excellent transition from a very active construction parcel, if you will, excavation, mining, and trucking, to a very new cutting-edge kind of enterprise, which will be quiet and green. So that's the rationale behind the article. It's not just to go light industrial and put up kinds of buildings or activities that would be harmful. This will be a very passive, very quiet use. And I hope you'll give it your, and I know you will, give it your best consideration. So thank you for your time and your hospitality.
Okay, any further discussion? Article 7. Stetcher, then Mr. Putnam.
Thank you. Bernie Stetcher, Precinct 3. I just have a question. Can the Zoning Board of Appeals grant a variance or whatever so that the 20-odd acres that needs to be done, needs to be made for the solar array without actually changing the whole thing to light construction or whatever it is? I think that way we get the best of both worlds. We make sure that nothing else is going to go in there and we still get the solar array. I'm all for that.
Yeah. Mr. Fox?
No, the answer to your question is no, they can't. That would be a use variance, and we don't do that anymore, haven't been done for a long time. That's why it has to come to this board and change the zoning, so it can't be flipping back and forth. We don't change. The uses have to be spelled out as in the town bylaw.
Okay, Mr. Putnam, and then Mr. Moriarty.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Brent Putnam, Precinct 9. I love the idea of a solar farm, but I don't like this article. This is, of course, spot zoning. We're about to put light industrial C, or we might, depending on how we vote this evening, put light industrial C in the middle of agricultural zoning. The other issue there is just the timeline. Consider, for example, the town of Sandwich has a power plant which is essentially on the verge of retirement, and they have a very large brown field there that they're going to have to deal with at some point in the next decade or so. If we were to permit this and a solar array would go in here, it would be a bucolic scene of solar panels sitting there for 20 or maybe 30 years. But then what happens in 31 years or 35 or 40 years when the solar panels are taken down because they've reached the end of their useful life, or they're no longer economically viable, or they're falling apart, or some other such thing, and we have a parcel that is zoned for light industrial C? What else is going to go in there? We have to think long before we decide to rezone. I would suggest we vote this down. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Moriarty. Yep, in the back.
That's quite an entrance. Dave Moriarty, a butter to this project. I have a question for, through the moderator, for Mr. Fox, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
Why hasn't the planning board suggested applying for a special permit like the Zoning Board of Appeals has asked for or suggested?
Mr. Fox.
I actually thought I was trying to answer that 2 questions ago. It would be, it's not the zoning board. There would be a use variance. The ZBA gives variances, and one of the things they're not allowed to give use variances anymore. So if we want this, we have to change the zoning or we don't get it. That's the way it is. There's no solution for them to go and get a use variance from the ZBA because it's not permitted. This is the way to do it. If it doesn't work, you don't like it, vote it down.
Well, that's not what the Zoning Board of Appeals is saying. They're saying the Board of Appeals requests that you consider the above references. Special permit. Under this referral request, as requested by the Falmouth bylaw, there are any questions related to this, please contact the Board of Appeals. Did you contact them?
We didn't have any questions on it.
I can see why. Thank you.
Okay, the gentleman with the white shirt. Yeah, gentleman with the white shirt in the back.
Good evening. I'm Gordon Omstead, another abutter to this parcel of land in question, and I have some things to say. Should I speak from here or should I come up front?
You could speak from there.
I'm sorry?
You could speak from there. You have a microphone.
Speak from here? Yeah. Thank you. Good evening. I'm Gordon Omstead. I am a longtime resident with my wife and family, 90 Deer Pond Road, which is very close to the parcel in question here. Some of you may know me as the West Falmouth vet. I've had the privilege of caring for many of your dogs and cats' medical and surgical needs over the years, since my wife Debbie and I opened the West Falmouth Veterinary Clinic 23 and a half years ago. This evening, I represent myself and the Deer Pond Road Trust, and I rise in opposition to the proposal before the town of changing the zoning from agricultural to light industrial. I think it would be a big mistake. For many years, we all recall the bumper sticker, "Isn't Falmouth nice?" And I can answer, and we can all answer with a resounding yes. This is a fabulous community, wonderful town, and it's a great place to live. Not only do we have a lovely location by the sea with all its recreational activities, a booming tourist industry, top-notch scientific community, and an excellent school system, we have a number of green spaces. Falmouth prides itself on its green spaces and its commitment to conservation. These undisturbed areas with minimal human footprint are among our greatest treasures. These 65 acres in question for consideration for zoning change is in fact a water recharge area and should remain a green space. This is sandwiched between two residential neighborhoods and conservation land, so this is not the area to have a zoning change and give light industry a blank check to move in and do whatever they want. They want to manipulate the zoning to suit their private interests. I say, not so fast. My fear and legitimate concern is that this light industry will, once they get their foot in the door, lead to warehousing, transfer stations, some of the other permitted businesses as outlined in Article 13 of the town bylaws, Chapter 240 zoning and light industrial C districts, which allow for, once again, as Mr. Fox was saying, contractor yards, wholesale supply, warehousing and storage, ground-mounted solar photovoltaic array. Remember, this is a water resource protection district. The water under this area contributes to the aquifer that provides water to the town of Falmouth. So having it being under consideration should remain, having this being considered for zone change is ill-advised, I think should remain agriculturally zoned. There's also a lot of wildlife in this area. Over the years, we've seen pheasants and fox, raccoons, skunks, coyotes, bats, all manner of birds such as red-tailed hawks, different species of owls, red-ringed blackbirds, ruby-throated hummingbirds, just to mention a few. Being a small animal veterinarian, I like the animals in the woods, the meadows, and by the shore. Letting light industry in here would definitely have a negative impact on their habitat, and ecology is important. The town would not benefit from this zoning change. It would be private industry that would benefit. So, one other item, of course, is please remember this is not about personalities. I have no personal animosity towards anyone who has business interests. I'm a businessman myself. I'm just a plain-spoken veterinarian. This is about preserving our neighborhood. So in closing, I want to thank you for hearing me out on this matter, and I urge you to vote no for a zoning change. Thank you very much.
Mr. Galasso.
Have a nice Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Michael Glasso, I'm the chairman of the Falmouth EDIC, and I have a question for Chairman Fox. As you know, the EDIC completed development of the solar at the landfill project this spring, which saves the town about $500,000 a year in energy cost and brings an additional $50,000 to $60,000 in land lease and property tax revenue. We developed 4 of the approved 6 megawatts in the first phase of the project. We understand that there is a limit to the amount of renewable energy that Eversource can accommodate in the area where this rezoning is being proposed. So my question for Mr. Fox is, if this rezoning is approved and the application moves forward with building the solar field, what impact would that have on the ability for the EDIC to develop the remaining 2 megawatts at the landfill, which would generate additional revenue for the town?
Mr. Fox.
I have found out that this applicant is actually ahead of the EDIC for tying into the N-Star network plan, and we would have to wait till they get ahead, and then the town would come in behind them if this gets approved tonight.
Okay, Mr. Finneran.
I asked this at the precinct meeting, and I didn't really get any answers. I've spoken to a few of the people that abut the area, and they told me that it's a wildlife corridor. My first question is there any way that they assess this as they would in shellfish, putting in a dock or whatever? And secondly, I was also told that the bottom of this pit is only 4 feet above the water table, and I'd like to know if that's actually correct.
Who wants to take? Anybody want to have the information to answer those questions? Okay, hearing none. Mr. Hargraves? Mr. Hargraves? Yep, you're next.
Graves, Precinct 9. Actually, I raised my hand before Mr. Glasso got up to speak, but I'd just like to clarify and be sure that I understand before I vote on this, because previously there was a lot of publicity around a very nice project where the town shared in the revenue of a solar project, and this, I take it, is a private business enterprise that will be erected for the benefit of the people of the Lynch Company. The town has no stake in this project at all. It's just a private enterprise without the town's involvement or any revenue to the town. Is that right?
Yeah, if it's a private
Okay.
development.
Well, thank you. That clarifies my
Ms.
vote
Lowell?
against this.
Ms. Lowell?
Vicki Lowell, Precinct 1. We all know that we should be moving to renewable energy, and if this project won't work on this site, and I can see that there's some arguments against it because of the light industrial C zoning, my impression is that nothing is without impacts that could be considered negative, but solar is pretty good. And so I hope that this town, we used to have an energy committee, maybe we still do, but we should figure out a way where we can allow solar to be in as many conceivably good places as possible. This seems logically like it wouldn't be bad. It's a pit. It's already been in industrial use. I mean, not a zone, but gravel. Certainly not very attractive now. And I don't know if wildlife can, how it's planned, you could probably leave wildlife corridors. So I'm not going to say vote for this one because it doesn't seem like it would pass anyhow. But I just think it's really imperative that we move forward. And we've had bad luck with wind turbines, but we should be going to solar and as a renewable as fast as possible. Thank you.
Mr. Jones.
I have a question for Mr. Fox, Chairman of the Planning Board. Would another option in the future be to change the zoning for agricultural aid to include ground-mounted photovoltaic programs?
Mr. Fox.
As it relates to this parcel, that's a general question you're asking me? General question. Yes, we could go to any district and make a permitted use, listed in the book as the permitted use is ground-mounted solar array. Right now, it doesn't exist, so we created light industrial C, so we had some place to do it. And the main reason why we did light industrial, there's a long history why light industrial C was created, and I just remind everybody. We have industrial A and industrial B, and in those zones, we allowed residential uses. And what we did as a town is we took all our industrial land and built condos everywhere. And we forced our contractors to go outside of town. And so there was no place for any of the contractors' use or warehouse use. So we got, everyone said, we got to change this. And so while we were at it, we added a contractor's yard, warehouse, and somebody said, well, why don't we put ground-mounted solar array in that district as well? And so that's why we created the light industrial C. And then after we create the district, then we started applying it. And we found 2 places to apply it already we thought were reasonable, and we thought this at least deserved the merit to come to this board and see what you think, because we do need the solar energy.
Okay.
Well, we could put it in A or B or residential, or we could pass a bylaw and let ground-mounted solar array be in every district as a permitted use if we wanted to.
Okay, Ms. Whitehead. Yeah, I've got like a cluster of 4 people all over here, so if you just want to pass the mic to each other there.
Lynn Whitehead, Precinct 1. After listening to all this, and I do know some people in the neighborhood that live on either side of that area, this is not the area for this. Maybe the Turbine area, that would be a good place, and there are other places in town where we would not have to change to a different zoning for this area. This is not the area for this. So I would hope that you will vote this down. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, if you could just pass it to your right, and then we'll pass it back to Rose.
Bob Baker, Precinct 4. My understanding is that this land has been agriculturally zoned for a long time, and yet over that time material was removed, because you mentioned that you have the land is 45 feet down. So is that allowed? That was one question. If it was removed, can now we fill it in? What are they going to fill it in with? Who's going to be there and watch what they fill it in with? I'm not sure if it can, but I understand the need for wholesale to the trade, supply, and warehouses, but now what are we talking about, like telephone poles or steel beams or that kind of stuff, which means very large trucks going in and out of town? I don't mind them if they're close to a highway, but a lot of this is residential area, and I just don't understand how we can have, this kind of warehousing, which I think would probably be allowed. I guess that's what warehousing and storage and wholesale to the trades means. So, I mean, it could be very large and very heavy trucks and all sorts of things going in and out. So I'm definitely opposed to this. Thank you.
Mr. Fox? We just pass the mic back there.
Well, the reason why it's here is because this use existed before zoning. This is a pre-existing non-conforming use, a term that you use. It's not accurate, but most people call it grandfathered. So they've been taking sand out of this pit before we had zoning. So we don't have any control over it right now. They have the right to continue that use forever because it pre-exists. By changing the zoning, we do put a little control on it. As far as filling it in, that requires a special permit from the Zoning Board of Appeals. It's not something we consider. We consider that this is a sand pit, and they could put it in and provide solar 6 megawatts, and we thought we provided adequate buffer for the neighbors, and when we had a hearing, the neighbors pretty much agreed with us, but that's why it's here for this board to decide.
Okay.
Catherine Elder, Precinct 6. I'd just like to remind everyone that what's before us here tonight is a question about changing zoning in this place. It's not before us what to permit as far as solar panels or any of those other uses that are listed. And there's nothing precluding the owner of this parcel from not going forward with solar and with going forward with any of the other uses. So please keep that in mind. And I agree with what was said earlier, that we need to change our bylaws to allow ground-mounted solar in agricultural and maybe some other zones. I don't know, I haven't looked at them all, but certainly it seems like a proper application here, and that's what should be before us, not whether or not we're permitting solar. We should have a change to the bylaw to allow it in the current zoning. Thank you.
Okay, the gentleman in the back there on the aisle.
Thank you. My name is Robert Sagerman. I live at 80 Deer Pond Road. I've lived there since 1976. No? My name is Robert Sagerman. I live at 80 Deer Pond Road. I have lived there since 1976. I'm also the president of the Deer Pond Road Trust. While presently this land we are discussing is a gravel pit, I found in the folder of permits for this operation located in the Zoning Board of Appeals office a requirement that upon completion of the gravel operation that the land be reclaimed, the steep slopes be brought to an angle that will not erode, that soil be brought in, that grass is planted, and pine trees or other suitable species be planted no more than 8 feet apart on the slopes to stop erosion. So while currently there are open, barren areas on this property, the town has stipulated that upon completion of graveling, the land be reclaimed. This reclamation will enhance the already existing conservation area, and by keeping this land agricultural, we can preserve the land and the water recharge area which it encompasses, as opposed to opening this land to uses described in Light Industrial C. I also ask, pertaining to solar panels, how are they going to keep the ground around the panels clear of vegetation? I have read in researching solar panels that they use herbicides to keep the plant growth down. We're in a water recharge area. I mean, I think we need to think about protecting the water we drink and keeping some conservation land and open land. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Putnam, and I think we're ready to take a vote here.
Becca Putnam, Precinct 9. I'd like to move the question.
All right, we have the motion to close discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. You guys have it by unanimous vote. The question will come on Article 7 as recommended by the Planning Board. All those in favor of Article 7 signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. No. It's opinion of the chairs that the noes have it by a majority, and there is not a 2/3. Article 8. Article 8's recommendation from the Board of Selectmen is indefinite postponement. The petitioner, Mr. Grant, held this article. Mr. Grant for the main motion. As printed. Mr. Grant.
So, Article 8, I'm Grant Walker, Precinct 3. Article 8, the idea is to urge the Massachusetts officials to support the divestment bill. in the state legislature. Now, urging of support for a bill in the legislature is a common practice for towns in Massachusetts. There's nothing unusual here. And 15 Massachusetts towns have already voted in favor of divestment. Here are those towns. You can see the list there. This current bill is different than the previous divestment bill that was before the legislature a couple years ago. What it does, it calls for divesting the Massachusetts Public Pension Fund from thermal coal companies. That's it as far as divestment goes, thermal coal companies. It also calls for studying the potential financial impacts of divestment from other fossil fuel companies. Its focus is on the Massachusetts Public Fund, the state retirement system. It's not a focus on the Falmouth retirement system. The formal name is the Pension Reserves Investment Trust. This offers pensions for teachers at all levels, from kindergarten through university in the public sector, all state employees, and county and municipal employees, nurses, doctors, psychologists, social workers, maintenance people, road crews, and many others in those retirement systems throughout Massachusetts that opt into the state's plan. Most of the big unions and associations representing those people support divestment. They've been out for a number of years supporting divestment. Massachusetts Teachers Association, the Service Employees International Union, Local 509, Local 888, the Boston Teachers Union, the Massachusetts Nurses Association, so on. Thermal coal, what is that? That's the type of coal that's burned to generate electricity. And it is the largest source of greenhouse gas emissions in the world. It is driving global warming. There's a lot of cost already being imposed upon us because of global warming. I don't know about you, but I know there are some people in the town, I'm one of them, who have friends in Puerto Rico. So even though we don't get a direct hit here, we could be impacted by the loss of friends or other loved ones. There's a number of other kinds of costs. I think that the chair of the Coastal Resilience Committee spoke to those potential costs from storm surges and floods better than I can. But we also are paying higher taxes already because of global warming. All we have to think of, for example, is the government expenditures for emergency search, rescue, and recovery, and disaster relief, the deployment of the National Guard and military personnel and all their equipment, all of their supplies. Somebody's paying for that, and it's the taxpayers. So we're already paying higher taxes because of global warming. And there are a variety of threats to our town. Again, the chair of the Coastal Resilience Committee spoke pretty well about that. I think for me what it adds up to is our whole way of life here, our day-to-day chances. This is what I love about our town. Our day-to-day chances to meet, to greet, to be with people we know, we love, we're familiar with. I don't want to lose that. So what does divestment do? Well, it discourages the burning of thermal coal. This is divestment from thermal coal companies. That will reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and that will reduce global warming. If we were to indefinitely postpone this or vote no on this, we would be saying nothing. It would be as if we had no concerns, that the current policy was just okay with us. I think we should call for a change. Now, as taxpayers, we are investing a lot of money in Falmouth. I don't have to go over that. We've been doing that all night here. We're investing a lot of money in Falmouth. So continuing to support the investment of taxpayer money in thermal coal is working against ourselves. Say nothing or ask for a change. I say, let's ask for a change. Now, there are a lot of concerns that people have, legitimate concerns about divestment. fiduciary responsibility. That will not be touched. The fund managers will continue to be free to do their job, which is to act solely for the benefit and the interest of the members of the pension plan. But that's not the legislature's job. The legislature's job is broader than that. The legislature has to safeguard the fund for the members of the pension plan, yes, but also the legislature must maintain the financial sustainability of the Commonwealth, and it must protect and promote the well-being of the people and the towns in Massachusetts. So first, let's talk about pension benefits. The dollar value of pension benefits are really not going to mean too much for those who die early from excessive heat, flood, fire, wind, or disease. And pension benefits are going to offer very little comfort for the survivors whose loved ones and communities are gone. Let's talk about the financial sustainability of the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth's budget could be overwhelmed if the state has to repeatedly prepare for and respond to the effects of global warming, such as excessive heat, rising seas, storm surges, spread of disease, drought, and so on. Does this bill offer any protection for the fund? Yes. It allows reinvestment in thermal coal companies if the fund drops 0.5% or more. And secondly, it requires an analysis of the possible impact of divestment from other kinds of fossil fuel companies before divestment takes place from them. Divestment, this is a third consideration here, divestment could prevent losses. The world is turning away from coal, thermal coal. China, India, the USA, they're turning away. They're closing down thermal coal plants. Why? Because natural gas is cheaper than coal to generate electricity, and because of alternative energy sources in many parts of the world. 195 nations are now, by the Paris Climate Agreement, committed to reduce their emissions. Divestment leaves many options, investment options, open for the fund managers. Thermal coal companies are a small fraction of publicly traded companies. And some people are concerned about the complexity of divesting from mutual fund investments. But the bill is clear. It focuses on direct holdings, not indirect holdings such as mutual funds. It actually states explicitly it does not apply to indirect holdings such as mutual funds. And divestment is now made quite easy. There's a lot of companies, well, I don't actually know how many, but here's three: fossil-free funds, Trillium Asset Management, and MSCI, which has fossil fuel exclusion indexes. They've already got the companies identified. They step in, offer their services. They make it easy. We got to realize that we can make a difference. Falmouth will be joining 15 other Massachusetts towns. We will be joining an international movement that has almost $11 trillion committed already to divestment from 750 institutions, banks, pensions, governments, you name it, across 76 countries. So the tipping point in this divestment movement is coming. Please vote in favor of Article 8 as printed. Urge Massachusetts officials to support the divestment bill. Thank you.
Mr. Walker, you timed that out exactly 10 minutes. Okay, discussion on Article 8. Hearing none, the question will come on the main motion as printed. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. No. The opinion of the chair is that the ayes have it by a majority. Any question to that call? Okay. So the ayes have it by a majority. Article 11, the Board of Selectmen is recommending indefinite postponement. This was held by Mr. Neto. Mr. Neto, you make a positive motion on Article 11? Microphone for Mr. Neto, please. To my left. We do a positive motion, Mr. Neto?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, so we could have discussion on Article 11. I would like to move the article as printed.
Okay, as printed. Go ahead, Mr. Neto. Main motion as printed.
I would appreciate you voting for this as printed so Mr. Grocer could present his article as he's the petitioner and give him the opportunity. And then I will be presenting against, asking you to vote against the article. And you might say, Joe, why don't you just stay with IP? Because it's a little complicated. And it also relates to the next article, which I'll be speaking against, which is a selectman's article. And to understand both, we need a definition, a discussion of how we got from there to here. And trust me, please, it's minor, but it has to deal with the charter, which is our form of government, and it's the process that I'll be talking about, which I don't think was followed, but that's my opinion. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Grosser.
What'd I do? Okay. Thank you. I'm Howard Grosser. I live in Precinct 2. I'm president of the Falmouth Heights Mara Vista Neighborhood Association, and on behalf of the association, petitioner of Article 11. As you know, the article's been recommended for indefinite postponement. The association supported that recommendation when the selectmen first made it, and we still support it because we acknowledge that there is a better way for a bylaw to come before town meeting. But with the article being held, and with the hope that it will contribute to the conversation tonight, I just want to share the history of how Article 11 came to be before you. For the past 4 beach seasons, many association members observed and commented on the decline in civility on the Falmouth Heights and Bristol beaches. Formerly prohibited activities have recently been unchecked and are becoming increasingly common. Activities that prevent peacefully reading a book, taking an afternoon nap, and most commonly mentioned by association members, activities that make people feel unsafe taking children and grandchildren to the beach for fear of what they would hear or see or what object they might have to dodge. The majority of our members agree that certain activities, while entirely appropriate for a public park and or a private backyard, have no place on a crowded public beach. In 2016 and many years prior, this was the sign that was posted on the beach. The lifeguards used to enforce these rules with the simple blowing of a whistle. Without announcement and without public input, about 3 years ago, rule enforcement was abandoned. Our members noticed and objected, and in response to member concerns, association representatives attended numerous beach committee meetings to request that the existing rules be enforced. We were repeatedly told that the lifeguards are there for water safety and would not be tasked with supervising activities on the sand. The Falmouth Enterprise weighed in on this last May. Now, the decision to abandon rule enforcement is considered by many to be a policy decision, but it was not made by the Board of Selectmen. Nonetheless, the association accepted the reduced role of the lifeguards and asked that a beach monitor position be added, specifically tasked with rule enforcement. The beach leadership refused. We asked for a 1-year trial. That was denied. We offered to pay for the monitor. That was refused. As an alternative, we requested that ball playing be allowed on designated sections, but not on the entire beach. That was also denied. So, no action for 3 years. And then last May, again, with no discussion or public input, the acting beach superintendent announced a change to the wording on the signs for the 2017 beach season. And the signs now look like this. Many say that the new wording not only allows for, but actually encourages ball playing, kite flying, and frisbee throwing. So we objected. Many of our members saw the change in wording as violating town meeting's 1964 bylaw. But since that bylaw specifies just baseballs and softballs, the new wording violates only the spirit, not the letter of your bylaw. In addition, we see the new wording as a policy change initiated by a town employee. And as Joe mentioned, policy is the selectman's job. So accompanied by former beach superintendent Andy Dufresne, association members met with town management. Town management supported the acting beach superintendent and the rewording remained. It is baffling to us how, after years of insisting that it was unsafe for the lifeguards to lose their focus on the water, these same lifeguards can suddenly scan the beach for activities requiring their discretion. But independent of what lifeguards should or shouldn't do, we asked the Board of Selectmen to schedule a public discussion on beach rules, enforcement, and signage wording. And that hadn't happened as of the deadline date for submitting warrant articles for this meeting. So denied to date by the Beach Department, town management, and with no action immediately pending by the Board of Selectmen, town meeting was the last avenue available to us. We saw no merit in forcing an unwanted discussion on this body, and as I'm sure you'll recall, we reached out and surveyed town meeting members last August. And I thank you again for your responses. The vast majority indicated a willingness to at least have a discussion tonight, so here we are. Whoops. Whoops, I'm sorry. This is word for word from the town of Dennis. This one also is word for word from the neighboring town of Dennis. I compiled this list of projectiles. This is word for word from Long Beach Island, New Jersey, but it could be from any number of beach towns up and down the east or west coast. And again, this is word for word from the town of Dennis. So right now, nothing says that this man cannot land on Chappaquiddick Beach next summer, just as he did last month when this picture was taken. This was taken last July by a Falmouth resident who frequents Old Silver Beach. The 7 people who set up the tent are the same ones occupying twice as much beach area by sitting in front of it. So, unregulated, if people with tents arrive before people with umbrellas, the capacity of that beach is reduced by half. You may recall this Falmouth Enterprise article from last September. In addition to occasionally crashing, drones record video and still photos. Many beach communities have banned them. The National Seashore banned drones years ago. And if you get your information from Facebook, you've seen Article 11 called anti-tourist. And perhaps Mr. Kasparian can confirm, I'm told that tourism in Dennis is just fine. And tourism is the same, if not better, on every beach, everywhere, when it's not a free-for-all. Article 11's also been called anti-fun, and because I can't, I'll leave it to others tonight to speak to the pleasure they derive from displacing other beachgoers, making them feel uncomfortable, unwelcome, and unsafe. Some ball players, kite flyers, and frisbee throwers allege that Article 11 takes their rights away, but as we already know from the beach rules in place from 1964 to 2016, the right to engage in those activities during the 8-week beach season never existed. If there's any doubt concerning the veracity of the observations of association members, a 50-year Falmouth resident confirms them in a recent letter to the editor to the Cape Cod Times, quote, I visit Falmouth beaches daily, year-round, and if I find an area more boisterous than I like, I move to a different location or a different beach or go home. Most association members prefer a solution other than displacement. Included with his response to our poll last August, one town meeting member emailed the association with this thought: "My wish is for everyone to enjoy the beaches as they see fit without infringing on others." And we completely agree. So whether you support Article 11, Article 12, some other legislation, changes to beach policy, changes in beach management, or in changes in beach leadership, I hope you agree that change is needed. Your discussion tonight will most certainly lay the foundation for corrective actions. And I thank you.
Article 11, discussion open on Article 11 as printed. Mr. Netto? Against it?
Yes.
Okay, yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would just like to say that it's the process. I'm not getting involved in whether we should take our sand wedge down to the beach and practice some shots or play Frisbee. But in our charter, which is our form of government, this whole question of 11 and 12 is spelt out in its entirety. And I would use this time to show it to you now. The form of government that we have, known as the Charter, is technically called the Falmouth Home Rule Charter. And what it did X amount of years ago is it got rid of a full-time Board of Selectmen, created a part-time Board of Selectmen, created the position of Town Administrator. But a big change that it really did is it took a committee like the Beach Committee, which members were elected and was autonomous, and it put all the committees under the umbrella of the selectmen. And that was a major change. Most of you who are here tonight have probably been here since Falmouth has had a home rule charter. It's that charter that creates town meeting as the legislative body of the town of Falmouth. Under the charter, Section C-12 forms the Beach Committee. And I'd like to point out to you that the Beach Committee is an advisory committee, and this is verbatim, and if you have your tablet or smartphone, you can go to the town's website and follow along with me under the charter section. The Beach Committee shall be responsible for recommending policies to the Board of Selectmen. If you look at and jump to the explanation, excuse me here, of Article 11, we get in the explanation on page 8, on page 8, careful with the bifocals, at the end, we have confidence in the Beach Committee to develop reasonable regulations, and we have confidence in our beach staff to exercise discretion to enforce these regulations. That sounds great. I don't disagree with that at all. So I went back into the minutes of the Beach Committee through the town's website over 2 years, and I couldn't find a vote of the Beach Committee recommending a policy change to allow other sports on the beach, as stated in C-712. So that did not take place. And as already been shown to you, in 1964, there was a policy banning the playing of baseball and softball on Falmouth beaches, and that's enforced. I'm not saying it isn't enforced. Many of you here, I think, passed the last bylaw pertaining to the beaches, which prohibited smoking. Maybe 5 years ago, we did that. Because that is our function. an earlier town meeting member said, what's the purpose of town meeting? It's what we're doing right here now. And one of our chief legislative duties is to pass bylaws. Now we go to the Board of Selectmen, C3-3, Policy Leadership. This comes under the section of the charter where they're talking about the roles of the different groups, town meeting, committees, and obviously the Board of Selectmen. The board shall serve as the chief executive goal-setting and policy-making board of the town. There it is. Why are we here? Because the policies set forth in our form of government that tells us what we can do, I believe, was not followed. And what will we gain, and why am I asking you to vote against both of these? I think if we defeat both of these tonight, we will send a message to the government and the committees of the town of Falmouth. If you want to have some form of recreation at the beach, I would think that the beach committee would have the common decency to involve the neighborhood, to involve the people of Falmouth. Every beach is a neighborhood beach. What opportunity did you ever have, presented by the committee, to discuss whether or not there should be some other form of recreational activity at the beach? None, because it didn't happen. Now, I would be, in continuing, Mr. Moderator, I would be going into Article 12. Or should that wait, the next article?
Why don't we wait till the next article?
Okay. So that, and I would ask you, and I will get back up here for Article 12. I really think, and I think there is an interest, and I do believe that there's an interest that people might want some part of a beach, a designated, whatever it is. But what was missing was the core of how Falmouth operates. There was never, ever a public discussion where you or your neighbor could go forward and give their opinion. And that's what I would hope we could resolve with this. Two negatives, as they say in algebra, makes a positive. Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion on Article 11? Mr. Dufresne.
Mr. Moderator, fellow town meeting members, about 40 years ago, I had the honor and the opportunity to be an autonomous beach commissioner. We never had the problems that have been created and brought forth to the current form of government, where the beach committee works under the jurisdiction of the Board of Selectmen. They are the policy setters. Early this spring, I attended a meeting with Mr. Suso, his assistant, Mr. Grosjean, and the discussion was the fact that Falmouth Heights, we have to remember that Falmouth Heights is only one beach. We have, I believe it's 10 beaches, and then one of them, I think, is out in the town forest. Whatever we propose has to be for every beach. So the assistant town manager was the spokesman. And regardless of the concerns of the Falmouth Heights people, through their observations of the lack of control for, quote, the resident beach of Falmouth Heights, I went to the meeting as a representative of Falmouth Heights. And even though we proved that there were some things that were not being enforced in the public interest of the beachgoers of Falmouth Heights. And they set the policy that these modified restrictions that have been in effect since way before I was elected, some 40-odd years ago. And they served us well because there was never a challenge, quote, to the authority. All of a sudden, we see the sign that was put up, evidently at the request of the town manager and his assistant, of a major policy change, putting the responsibilities of allowances of projectile use on the beaches in the hands of the lifeguard, whose primary responsibility, going back to, I don't know if any of you remember Jim Kinney. I'm the one that replaced Jim Kinney almost 50 years ago. It wasn't allowed. It was not allowed. And the lifeguard was not the enforcer. All he had to do was blow his whistle and do this. Not allowed. And the police officer, Falmouth Heights happens to be the only residential neighborhood that has 2 police officers and a cruiser full-time to monitor the activities of what goes on in Falmouth Heights. So at that particular meeting, when the town manager, who's fairly new to Falmouth, and his assistant, who's even newer, made this major policy change, I said to myself, something is wrong. It's an insult to the people in that particular beach. And if we change and eliminate the bylaw that was passed in 1954 and develop that all of the decisions will be made by the Board of Selectmen and or his representative, being the town manager, maybe in the future. What happens to the
Okay, Andy,
residents?
we're at the 4-minute limit.
I will conclude.
Okay, we're all done.
Do not pass either one of these under the 1954 bylaw.
Okay, Andy, we're at 4 minutes.
Sir?
You're at 4 minutes. That's the time limit for speakers.
What do you want me to do?
You stop speaking.
You're right. Thank you for listening.
Any further discussion on Article 11? Mr. Magada? Not yet, but close.
My name is Bruce Magardo. I'm your acting beach superintendent. Yes, I did ask for permission to change the wording on the signs because I was becoming concerned with the alerts that people were asking me about. Why is the Heights so much not fun? Why are there so many rules that we can't do anything when it's one of the biggest beaches in town? And I said, you know, you got a point. So let's try an experiment. So I went to the town manager and I said, this is what I'd like to do. I'd like to see if we could exercise discretion on the sand and still allow families to play ball, dads and sons and maybe moms and daughters to enjoy more than just the sand, the sun, and the water. And so we tried that as an experiment. I didn't get any complaints, not a one. Nobody was concerned about sand. Nobody was concerned about projectiles. Never got a call. Gave my own town cell phone out, the bathhouse cell phone out, my assistant's cell phone out. Never got a complaint, not a one. In fact, I deemed it a success because we had 30 or 40 people who were told they had to stop. Say, why? We're having fun. We're not hurting anybody. We're nowhere near anyone. We won't throw over anybody. And yet, the lifeguards had good discretion. They shut them down. This experiment worked.
Would it work at every beach? No. You certainly couldn't throw a ball at Chappaqua, not for very far anyway, maybe 5 or 10 feet. Old Silver, on a weekend, you don't throw anything. Nothing on the sand. In the water, maybe, but nothing on the sand. So I ask you to vote your conscience here. I ask you to use your common sense about what's best for the beaches in Falmouth, because I trust you and I believe in you, and I've been with the beaches for 47 years. I think I have a little experience.
Okay. Further discussion? Mr. Netto?
First of all, Mr. Vieira may make a motion that we go beyond the 11 o'clock for this article.
Wait,
okay.
You get 2 minutes to speak, so
okay.
Take your 2 and then we'll...
Now, this is very difficult because Mr. Magato and I go back to about the 2nd grade in East Falmouth School. But I have to say, I think you just heard it. The process wasn't followed. And it's the process. It's not the playing of sports, and I'd just like to reiterate that. The gentleman tried. Of course he did. He's been there since he's, I think, about 14. But do we just allow, no offense, but our government is going to be running this experiment here and this experiment there? And this is a minor farm. This is playing athletics at the beach. But what happens when it's representation, taxation, and other forms that we discuss? Again, it's not the athletics, the process.
Okay, folks, hold on. So let's go. We've got Article 11, the main motion. Mr. Scherer, anything new? We're going to take this vote before 11, so make it quick. Microphone over here to my right, please. Okay. Mr. Scherer.
Hortense Scherer, Precinct 6. I'm a member of the Beach Committee. I have been for quite a while. And I've been extremely impressed by Bruce and everybody that works on the Beach Committee. This new sign was brought up and discussed at a Beach Committee meeting. Bruce asked the selectmen if they could do it, came back to us and said, this is what it's going to be. And I think that is exactly the way this government's supposed to work. The Beach Committee makes the rules with the selectmen's okay, or the administrator's okay, and of course he goes to the selectmen, of course, because he works for them. So all I have to say, please vote no on both these articles.
Okay, the question will come on the main motion as printed. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, no. It's opinion of the chair that the noes have it by a majority and the article fails. The meeting will stand adjourned until 7 o'clock tomorrow night. Cards and leave them in the little bins on your walk out.
Falmouth Community Television's coverage of town meeting is sponsored by the following corporate underwriters.
Welcome to the Falmouth Chamber of Commerce. The Falmouth Chamber is dedicated to working on behalf of our members to make Falmouth a better place to live, work, and conduct business. We are committed to developing the economic, cultural, educational, and civic interests of our community and welcome the support from all organizations to achieve our combined goals. Whether you call Falmouth home, are a summer resident, or a visitor, we hope you take advantage of all that the Chamber has to offer.
Nestled in a classic New England setting, amid 200-year-old elm trees and charming colonial homes, stately sea captains' homes, and charming Cape Cod salt boxes, Shoreway Acres is a graceful blend of Cape Cod's past and present. Shoreway Acres, proud sponsor of Falmouth Community Television.
Hi, I'm Pat Thatcher.
And I'm Margaret Gifford, and we're from Sotheby's International Realty in Falmouth.
So, Margaret, what do we say to people when they ask, should I list my house in the fall or the winter?
The inventory is very low, and your house will be much more apparent.
This is true. And also, remember, buyers are looking 24/7, 365 now.
97% of you are looking on the internet.
So when you have real estate questions,
we're here for you.
Green Harbor Waterfront Lodging is nestled in a woodland setting on a picturesque ocean inlet. Green Harbor offers a family waterfront vacation. Enjoy our private boating beach with dock, rowboats, and paddle boats, oversized heated outdoor pool, and kiddie pool. Relax in our waterfront and beachside accommodations. 548-4747 or gogreenharbor.com. Carlson Printing for all your printing needs. 508-548-7303 or toll free at 1-800-696-7303. Our email address is carlsonprinting@aol.com. Carlson Printing for all your printing needs.
Hosting services for fctv.org are provided by Meganet Communications. Meganet offers a wide array of internet services including Mega Backup Cloud Service, server colocation, T1, fiber, Metro Ethernet, as well as telephone services such as hosted PBX and digital voice. Their number one goal is to keep your communications network up and running and allow you to focus on growing your business. 877-634-2638 or meganet.net. Additional funding and support provided by the following corporate sponsors. Inn on the Sound, located at 313 Grand Avenue in Falmouth Heights, offering luxurious accommodations, gourmet breakfasts, and spectacular ocean views. Inn on the Sound, an active participant in community affairs since 2006.
Barrett Plumbing and Heating offers expert plumbing, heating, and air conditioning services to all our residential and commercial customers on Cape Cod and surrounding area. We are a full-service plumbing specialist offering professional workmanship to suit your budget. Whatever your heating or plumbing need, you can always count on a job that's done right.
Dogs and Hogs, family owned and operated for over 5 years. Our slow smoked barbecue is available for dine-in, pickup, or catering. We also serve beer and wine, have gluten-free options, and are open late Thursday through Saturday.
RJ's Variety and Liquor, family owned and operated for 15 years. We have a variety of beer, wine, and liquor, local frozen stuffed quahogs, local frozen pizza snacks, and more. RJ's Variety and Liquor, 174 Sandwich Road, T-Ticket. The attorneys at Oppenheim & Nickerson LLP have provided legal services in Falmouth for over 36 years. We advocate for our clients and work to provide quality representation in the areas of business and corporate law, real estate law, estate planning, and estate administration. 508-548-8255.
We at Falmouth Fish believe there is nothing better than a fresh piece of fish, direct from the waters of Cape Cod in New England. Nothing beats waking up at 4 a.m. to search out the highest quality seafood from the best fishermen in the world.
7 Stars Academy, offering martial arts and Tai Chi. Training at 7 Stars Academy can transform your life. It's amazing to see the positive impact it has on our students. Classes for adults and children of all ages. Confidence, not conflict, at 7 Stars Academy of Martial Arts.
After nearly 10 years in business, the Green Shuttle has been your choice to get to and from area airports. But did you know they also offer trips to Boston and Providence, medical appointments, theater, dinner, or tours? The Green Shuttle does it all, with no wait time, no parking costs, and no hidden fees. Ride easy with Green Shuttle. Hamilton Tree and Landscaping has been proudly serving Falmouth and the Upper Cape since 1978. Located on Route 151, we're available for all landscaping and tree concerns. Appreciating your property is our motto as we continue to keep your tree and landscaping needs our top priority. At A&A Paving, we believe in providing customers with quality products supported by excellent service. We provide commercial and residential seal coating, asphalt paving, and repair services for Cape Cod and southeastern Mass. A&A Paving, 508-540-4944.
Calfee Insurance, offering insurance policies for your car, home, business, life, and disability. Calfee cares about all your insurance needs. 508-540-2601 and online at calfeeinsurance.com.
Thomas J. Bunker and Jeffrey E. Reither are BSS Design, providing land surveying and civil engineering in Falmouth since 1987. Licensed and fully insured, they're located on Catherine Lee Bates Road, and their phone number is 540-8805.
Wild Harbor General Store, located in historic North Falmouth Village, providing quality goods and services for 170 years. Continuing to make history with our support of FCTV's coverage of Falmouth Town Meeting.
Liam McGuire's Irish Pub. With a newly renovated dining room, it's what an Irish pub should be. Main Street, downtown Falmouth. Bayside Kitchen and Bath at 419 Palmer Avenue in Falmouth, where design and installation professionals work closely with homeowners, architects, and builders, offering a full range of cabinetry, countertops, and faucets. Bayside Kitchen and Bath, returning you to beautiful spaces.
Eastman's has been Falmouth's hardware store since 1913. With a newly added retail space providing kitchen accessory and gourmet foods, our friendly staff is available to assist you with your hardware and kitchen needs. 508-540-0407.
Carpet Barn, Carpet One Home Showcase, a local family-owned business offering all your premier carpet and flooring needs. They also feature tile and vinyl floors, area rugs, window treatments, and kitchen and bathroom cabinetry, serving you at 4 convenient locations. Cavosa Disposal is proud to provide trash removal, recycling, and composting to local businesses in Falmouth and surrounding communities. Cavosa Disposal would like to thank its customers in Falmouth. Cavosa Disposal, 508-563-5070. Family owned since 1919, at Puritan Cape Cod you'll find the latest in men's and women's clothing, as well as ski and tennis equipment and much more. Located on Main Street, Falmouth, and in Chatham, Mashpee, and Hyannis. Puritan Cape Cod, 199 Main Street, Falmouth, and online at puritanCapeCod.com.
FCTV is also supported by the following businesses and organizations.
Partners Technology, bringing people and technology together. The Waquoit Congregational Church, 15 Parsons Lane, Waquoit, 508-548-5269. Barnes Custom Builders of Cape Cod, 774-487-2129. Annie Hart Cool, Realtor, Sotheby's International, 508-868-0664. St. Elizabeth Seton Church, 481 Quaker Road, 508-563-7770. Vincent Associates, 159 Main Street, Town Hall Square, 548-6500. Soares Flower Garden Nursery, 508-548-5288. M. Duffy Builders, 508-540-3625. Neighborhood Falmouth, 508-564-7543. The Wood Lumber Company, 81 Locust Street, 508-548-3154. Danny's Barber Shop at 18 East Davisville Road, 508-548-6013. Carl F. Cabosa Excavating Incorporated, 508-563-5530. Paul's Precision Automotive Repair, 464 Main Street, 508-548-3164. David Rogers Electric, residential, commercial, industrial, 508-564-7507. The Davy Tree Expert Company at 996 East Falmouth Highway, 508-548-2662. Andy's Barber Shop in the Falmouth Plaza. Chapman, Cole and Gleason, 508-540-4172. Hanush Jewelers, 352 Main Street, downtown Falmouth, 508-548-9107. Mahoney's Garden Center, Route 28 East Falmouth, 508-548-4842. The Cape Cod 5, 668 Main Street, 508-457-5252. The Cooperative Bank of Cape Cod, 508-495-5010. Falmouth Chimney Sweep, 508-540-0458. Martha's Vineyard Savings Bank, 397 Palmer Avenue in Falmouth, and 2 Water Street, Woods Hole, 508-627-4266. VIPS, Falmouth Volunteers in Public Schools, 508-548-1621. Cape Cod Cleaning, 508-563-7622. Steve's Pizzeria and More, 374 Main Street, Falmouth, 508-457-9454. Shaw's, Roach Brothers, Stop and Shop, Walmart,